Part 17. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Crisp Bone. Chapter 161. Du Qiaoyu held her mobile phone and kept typing and searching. G Family 50th Anniversary Limited Edition Earrings. A blue diamond necklace from Sotheby's auction house 20 years ago. How to identify the authenticity of jadeite. Different news pops up on the web page, all proving that what Shen Yueran said is true. The jewelry on her body are all fakes. But even at this time, Du Qiaoyu still refused to admit the reality. She said, "It's impossible, Brother Feng wouldn't do this to me. You must be lying to me, and I will find evidence to prove that you are lying." After saying this, Du Qiaoyu turned around and ran away. At this time, Shen Yueran said again, "As long as we follow her now, we can find Brother Feng. She will definitely go to confront Brother Feng." Pei Anzu gave her a thumbs up. Sharp. Shen Yueran was praised and raised her chin proudly, like a child who was praised. Everyone got in the car again and followed Du Qiaoyu. At this moment, Du Qiaoyu only had these fake jewelry in mind, and didn't pay attention to anything else. She had no idea that she was being followed. Zhou Ying sat in the car, looked at Shen Yueran with admiration, and asked, "You are so awesome. How did you tell that those jewelry were fake?" She wore those things and showed them off to everyone, but no one noticed. Shen Yueran paused and explained, "Because I have seen too many real jewelry since I was a child, so I have a certain level of discernment. But it's also a coincidence I happen to have a pair of the earrings on Du Qiaoyu, and for that necklace, the private buyer at Sotheby's auction house 20 years ago was my dad. In other words, the necklace is authentic and was taken by Shen Qinghe as a birthday gift to Mrs. Shen. So you are the daughter of a rich family." Zhou Ying was shocked. "I didn't expect that I would get to know a super rich woman in my lifetime." Shen Yueran smiled shyly. Pei Anzu's attention has always been on Du Qiaoyu. Seeing that the other party was within his sight and there would be no accidents, he also joined Shen Yueran and Zhou Ying's chat group. "Yueran, you still have a way. Can you think of a way to provoke the general? Let her take us to find that Brother Feng." Shen Yueran waved his hands modestly and said, "This is because I have seen too many people like this, so I have experience in dealing with them. My group of young girls, namely Fu Chong and the others, are always surrounded by a bunch of girls who take the initiative to pounce on me. They are snobbish, money-worshipping, vain, and selfish to the extreme. They don't care if you talk to them about red envelopes to borrow money or life and death matters anyway, as long as it doesn't hinder their interests, they can ignore anything. But once their own interests are touched, they will ignore it and work hard, and Du Qiaoyu is such a person. Shen Yueran has lived in a wealthy Vanity Fair since she was a child, and has seen many girls who resort to tricks for money, many of whom are like Du Qiaoyu. Regardless of her age and style, she piles up all the valuable jewelry on her body, eager to tell the world that she is rich, for fear that others will not see what she has. This is the expression of vanity. Therefore, Shen Yueran took the right medicine and knew that it would not make sense to reason with Du Qiaoyu, so he started with what the other party cared about most and let her know that it was fake. Whether she is angry or sad, Du Qiaoyu has to go to Brother Feng to question her. It just gave them the opportunity to follow. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Crisp Bone. Chapter 162. Du Qiaoyu did not go to Brother Feng directly, but went to a jewelry store. Although she had searched for news before, because Shen Yueran came with Zhou Ying, she was still worried that all this was Zhou Ying's conspiracy. So, she went to a jewelry store for an appraisal, and finally determined that the jewelry she was wearing were all fake. In an instant, a strong anger surged into my heart. This anger was both because of Brother Feng's deception and because Zhou Ying saw the joke. It was finally possible to get over this cousin, but unexpectedly it was all in vain. She wanted to confront Zhou Zifeng, but now she realized that she didn't know where Zhou Zifeng lived. Du Qiaoyu and Zhou Zifeng met at a KTV, and every time they met later they were outside. Zhou Zifeng never told her where he lived, and he never took her to meet his friends. She was the one who introduced her classmates and friends to him every time she wanted to show off. It's her who wants the whole world to know that she has found a handsome and rich boyfriend, so she keeps bringing him into her life. Now when I really want to find him, I find that I don't know anything about him. She has never entered Zhou Zifeng's life. Other than a phone number, she knew almost nothing about Zhou Zifeng. Thinking of this, no matter how stupid Du Qiaoyu was, she knew there was a problem. She dialed Zhou Zifeng's phone, but no one answered the phone after ringing for a long time. Du Qiaoyu stood on the roadside for a long time. Tao Xingyun drove the car and stopped about 100 meters behind her. Everyone in the car looked at her. At this time, Shen Yueran suddenly said, "There seems to be something wrong. Does she not know how to find Brother Feng? It seems that Brother Feng is a pure liar. Let's go down and have a look." Pei Anzu thought for a moment, then got out of the car and walked towards Du Qiaoyu. Others followed. Du Qiaoyu didn't get through Zhou Zifeng's call. She raised her head angrily and saw the person walking towards her. Her expression changed. "Are you following me? Now is not the time to worry about this. Even if Zhou Ying is no longer welcome," she still advises, "you should understand now that we are not talking nonsense. We are not trying to embarrass you, we just want to find Zhou Zifeng." Hearing this, Du Qiaoyu smiled sarcastically. "Then it's useless for you to follow me, because I don't know where he is, and I can't find him. I can only wait for him to ask me out next time. If you are not in a hurry, just wait." How could it be possible that we were not in a hurry? Those red envelopes with problems have been passed on to many people and passed through many hands. If they are not resolved early, there will be endless troubles. "Do you have any photos of Zhou Zifeng?" Pei Anzu asked at this time. "If you have photos or other items related to him, give them to me, maybe I can find him." "Who are you? Can you do this?" Du Qiaoyu obviously didn't believe it. "Who do you care who we are? Anyway, you can't find Zhou Zifeng now, so you might as well let us try." Shen Yueran said, "Don't you want to confront him? Can't we help you find someone? That's the question. What more? This is reasonable." Du Qiaoyu had no reason to refuse, so she said, "There is no photo of him alone, there is only one photo of us together, and it's not a full-face photo. I took the photo while he wasn't paying attention. But there are other items as well. It's his wallet. I accidentally left it here before. Is that okay?" "Okay." Pei Anzu nodded. "Give me the stuff." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 163. Chapter 163, The Ancient Manor. The photo taken by Du Qiaoyu does not show Zhou Zifeng's face, and the facial features and middle features cannot be clearly seen. There is no way to draw accurate conclusions through physiognomy. Fortunately, he has a wallet, which is Zhou Zifeng's personal belongings. After Pei Anzu got the wallet, he found a relatively secluded and slightly open location, put the wallet on the ground, then took out a few talismans from his backpack and surrounded the money. After that, the incantation was performed, the talisman was burned, and the incense was lit. Then, a stream of green smoke sprang up from the incense and floated in a certain direction. "Follow the direction of the green smoke and you can find him," Pei Anzu said, holding up the incense. As expected of a master, advanced navigation, Tao Xingyun couldn't help but give a thumbs up when he saw this scene. Du Qiaoyu didn't know Pei Anzu's identity and didn't quite believe in this alternative method. She asked suspiciously, "Will this work?" Whether it works or not, you'll know when you follow me. Shen Yuan glanced at her, and then asked Pei Anzu, don't you need this wallet anymore? Well, give it back to her. Pei Anzu nodded. The incense will burn out at some point. In order not to waste time, everyone decided to set off immediately. Even Du Qiaoyu got into Tao Xingyun's car. After all, she had to find Zhou Zifeng and ask for an explanation. Tao Xingyun drove, and Pei Anzu showed the way. The car gradually drove out of the town and reached the suburbs, away from the villages and people, and headed straight for the mountains. Is Zhou Zifeng really a rich second generation? Zhou Ying looked at the thick vegetation outside the car window and couldn't help but ask, how can someone live in such a remote place? As a genuine daughter of a wealthy family, Shen Yuan has the right to speak. She explained. Generally speaking, there are only two situations for people living in this kind of mountains. Either the poor cannot afford to buy a house in the city and can only live in the mountains to reduce the cost of living. Either a wealthy family, tired of the noisy life in the city, buys a mountain and builds a separate mountain villa for vacation or rest. Generally speaking, if it is the latter, the required materials need to be transported by people every day, which costs a lot. If it is not necessary, no one will live in the mountains for a long time. Therefore, most of the wealthy families like those in Yunqing still live in villa areas in the city. At most they can enjoy tranquility amidst the hustle and bustle. The Feng family is the only exception. After all, the Feng family is rich. Judging from the road here, it should have been specially built by someone just to make it easier for traffic. Shen Yuan said, it seems that Zhou Zifeng is the real deal if he can specially build a road in such a remote mountain. No doubt a rich man. If Zhou Zifeng is really a rich man, but he gives fake jewelry to his girlfriend, this is intriguing. Unless he has other plans for Du Qiaoyu, he wants to keep her in his hands, but he doesn't want to waste the money and is reluctant to give her even a decent piece of jewelry. Du Qiaoyu didn't speak during the whole journey. She knew she had been deceived. The previous show-off and pride in front of Zhou Ying turned into a slap on her face, making her feel ashamed and embarrassed. More than half an hour later, the road on the mountain came to an end. And in front of everyone's eyes, a very retro-looking manor appeared, with a strong Western style, and the outer walls were covered with roses, as if to surround the entire manor. Overall, it looks like a vampire castle from a movie. The incense in Pei Anzu's hand was about to burn out, but before it burned out, the green smoke pointed straight into the manor. End of this chapter. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 164. Chapter 164, Resurrection. Zhou Zifeng is in this manor, please knock on the door, Pei Anzu said. Shen Yuan hugged the little fox and walked to the door. She pushed aside the roses beside the door to reveal the door number, which read Zhou, and below the door number was the doorbell. After ringing the doorbell, everyone waited quietly, and soon someone came out of the house. It is Zhou Zifeng. He didn't see Du Qiaoyu standing behind everyone, so he asked directly. Who are you, what are you doing here? At this time, Du Qiaoyu stood up, Brother Feng, of course we are here to find you. When Zhou Zifeng heard this, his expression changed. How did you know I was here? Can't I know? Du Qiaoyu was deeply angry at being deceived and asked, if I don't come here today, are you not going to tell me where you live? Zhou Zifeng seemed to have thought of something and felt that he could not break up with Du Qiaoyu just yet, so he softened his tone and explained. No, Qiaoyu, I don't want to tell you my home address, but I haven't told my parents about what's going on between us. My plan is to bring you to see them when our relationship matures. But today, you came here without saying hello in advance, and brought so many relatives and friends with you. My parents will be unhappy. They will think that you, the future daughter-in-law, do not understand etiquette, and they will have a bad impression of you. Although I don't know why you know where my home is, can you go back today? I'll wait until I make it clear to my parents before I invite you to be my guest. It seemed that Zhou Zifeng had no intention of opening the door. He seemed to have no intention of letting everyone in, so he made a high-sounding excuse. But Pei Anzu's five senses are keen. Since the foundation was established, the scope of exploration by her spiritual consciousness has expanded. She clearly knows that there are no so-called parents in this manner. So she spoke. Mr. Zhou Zifeng, if you don't want others to know something, unless you don't do anything about it, even if you keep us out, it doesn't mean that what you do is perfect. This kind of thing reverses the cause and effect, the crime is heinous, and there will be retribution, so stop before it causes a big disaster. Zhou Zifeng's face turned extremely ugly after hearing this. Who are you? What do you really know? There were 6 people inside and outside the door. Only Du Qiaoyu was outside. She couldn't understand what they were talking about. What crime? What retribution? What are you talking about? Aren't you here to help me seek justice? No one answered her words. Zhou Ying pulled her aside and motioned for her to shut up. Pei Anzu looked at Zhou Zifeng steadily and said directly. I know a lot of things. I know you have a dead brother, I know you want him to come back to life, and I know you used the resurrection technique to try to deceive heaven and reverse cause and effect. I also know that you spread your wealth and borrowed your life from others just to bring your brother back to life. But let me tell you, if I come today, you will not succeed. If you take the initiative to stop, you will be less in debt, and you will suffer less when you go to the underworld. Zhou Zifeng's face turned dark when Pei Anzu revealed all his plans, but after a moment, he calmed down and asked. I don't know how to stop it. This so-called resurrection technique was also obtained by a Taoist priest. Do you have any idea? Can you help me? Okay, Pei Anzu nodded. Then you come in. Zhou Zifeng opened the door and said, actually, I also know that what I did was wrong, but I can't bear to see my brother die. But you are right, other people's lives are also lives, and I shouldn't be like this. After Tao Xingyun heard this, he patted his shoulder with approval and said. That's right, brother, life and death matter, and you have to go where you should go when you are gone. You can't force it. It's not too late to wake up now. Others agreed one after another, but they didn't see that the moment Zhou Zifeng turned around, a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. End of this chapter. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 165. Chapter 165, He has murderous intentions towards us. The manor in the mountains is large and beautiful. The yard is full of roses and various trees. It can be seen that it has been carefully taken care of. Zhou Zifeng led everyone through the place, surrounded by lush green trees and a gentle breeze. Du Qiaoyu looked at such a luxurious manor and had already forgotten about Zhou Zifeng deceiving her with fake jewelry, and completely assumed the role of the mistress of the manor. She walked forward, stood side by side with Zhou Zifeng, took his arm, and said with a smile. Brother Feng, you didn't even tell me that you have such a big garden. I'm your girlfriend. You must take me for a walk here today. I don't know if you have any roses here. I like roses. If we get married in the future, if we live here, I would like to have a rose garden here, okay. And there's more. Du Qiaoyu chirped. Zhou Zifeng did not let anyone see the impatience on his face. He echoed Du Qiaoyu's words rather enthusiastically, and said with a hospitable look. No problem, you can visit however you want, even if you live here, it's no problem. I didn't want everyone to go in before, but now I took the initiative to invite Du Qiaoyu to live. In just a short time, it was too great to change back and forth. But Du Qiaoyu was immersed in the vanity of being liked by rich kids and didn't feel anything was wrong at all. Zhou Ying knew that there was something wrong with Zhou Zifeng. She wanted to remind Du Qiaoyu not to get too close to him, but she never had a chance to speak. Seeing that Zhou Zifeng was not paying attention to the back, she asked Pei Anzu in a low voice. That Zhou Zifeng, who has gone through so much trouble by giving fake jewelry and red envelopes to borrow his life, won't he change his mind just because of a few words from you? Of course not, Pei Anzu said. He is not someone who can be easily threatened. He must have an ulterior motive for letting us in. Be careful. No way. Tao Xingyun was a little puzzled when he heard this. Is it true that what he said about changing his mind just now was all nonsense? Pei Anzu nodded and said nothing more. Because the main hall of the manor has arrived. Zhou Zifeng brought everyone into the living room, asked them to sit down on the sofa, and then said, "You can be considered Qiaoyu's friends. You have come from afar, so I should treat you well. Well, you sit here for a while, and I'll get you something to drink." Pei Anzu said at this time. "You should know why I'm here. You don't need to bother entertaining us. I just want to talk to you about your brother's reanimation technique." "It's not urgent," Zhou Zifeng said. "I don't want too many people to know about this. After you guys have a rest, let Jiao Yu take the others out for a walk. I will talk to you about this alone." Pei Anzu looked at Zhou Zifeng's expression, was silent for a while, nodded and said, "Okay, I'll do as you say. Brother Feng, I'll go get something to drink with you." Du Qiaoyu stood up on her own initiative and followed Zhou Zifeng. When they walked farther away, Pei Anzu immediately put himself as the center, put up insulation notes, and then said, "That Zhou Zifeng has murderous intentions towards us. Don't eat anything he sends later. We have many people, can we just capture him?" Shen Yueran asked. Pei Anzu shook his head and said, "The most important thing now is not him, but the Taoist priest he mentioned before. The resurrection technique reverses the cause and effect of life and death and goes against the will of heaven. It has been a forbidden Taoist technique since ancient times and can only be mastered by very few people. I want to see who the Taoist priest who helped Zhou Zifeng perform the resurrection technique is. If my guess is correct, he must have some plans for Du Qiaoyu. Now that we have come to her door, in order to keep the secret and to bring his brother back to life, he must call the Taoist priest over for discussion. So we have to take advantage of the situation." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune telling. Author, Wang Crisp Bone. Chapter 166. Pei Anzu lowered his voice and gave everyone a few instructions. As soon as he finished, he saw Zhou Zifeng and Du Qiaoyu coming back. The two of them were holding trays with several glasses filled with different drinks. "There is juice and coffee, you can take whatever you want." Seeing this, a flash of understanding flashed in Pei Anzu's eyes. Juice and coffee are both opaque, so you won't notice if you put something in them. Everyone looked at each other, each chose a glass, and sipped it in small sips. Zhou Zifeng also took a drink, but he just watched others drink and did not move himself. After a moment, Du Qiaoyu was the first to react. Her eyes were blurred and she said, "Brother Feng, why am I a little dizzy? I can't even see clearly." Before she finished speaking, she fell down on the sofa. As if this was a signal, Zhou Ying, Shen Yueran, Pei Anzu, and Tao Xingyun fell down one after another, their eyes closed tightly, and they lost consciousness. When Zhou Zifeng saw this, he let out a mocking snort. He took out the rope from the tool room and tied everyone up. Since Tao Xingyun was a male, Zhou Zifeng tied him up extra tightly, fearing that he would suddenly wake up and break free. The same treatment was given to Pei Anzu. She was the one who accurately said the resurrection technique. She looked extraordinary and should not be underestimated. Everyone was tied to the sofa and lined up in a row. Then Zhou Zifeng walked aside and made a phone call. Master Zhao, I have captured a few people here, please come to the mountain manor as soon as possible. Well, things are a bit tricky, there is a girl, she knows that we are performing the resurrecting spell, and she must be a bit wise, I can't solve it, and it's up to you. Okay, I'll wait for you. After hanging up the phone, Zhou Zifeng ignored the stunned people and turned upstairs to see his brother in the bedroom. From his point of view, these people had already drunk the drug he prepared, and their hands and feet were bound by ropes. There was basically no room for resistance, so he was not worried about any accidents. Now, he just has to wait for Master Zhao to come over. Just after he went upstairs, Pei Anzu opened his eyes first, and after placing isolation notes, he woke up the others. He's gone, there's no need to pretend. Everyone except Du Qiaoyu opened their eyes one after another, their eyes were clear, and they didn't look half-dazed. It turns out that this is what Pei Anzu said about taking advantage of the situation. She had already set up a cover-up. When everyone picked up their cups to drink water, they were actually spitting the drinks in their mouths into their sleeves. However, under the cover of the blindfold, what Zhou Zifeng saw was that everyone drank the drinks. Damn it, this kid is really dirty. He tied me so tightly that I can't even break free. Tao Xingyuan spat, Master Pei, we are tied now. We don't have the tools to cut the rope at hand. Even if we lead, that Taoist priest is here, but it won't help. Who said there are no tools? Shen Yueran sneered. The next second, a fiery red fox appeared in front of everyone's eyes, leaving Tao Xingyuan and Zhou Ying stunned. You know, the little fox is very special. If it had only one tail, it could barely be considered a pet, but it has two tails, which would cause unnecessary trouble if others saw it. So every time he took the little fox out or took transportation, Pei Anzu would use a blind trick on it so that no one could see it. So Tao Xingyuan and Zhou Ying didn't know that Shen Yueran also brought a little fox. Can it help us untie the rope? Although Tao Xingyuan saw its two tails, he still couldn't believe it. At this time, the little fox rolled his eyes at him. Don't look down on the fox. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Crisp Bone. Chapter 167. Tao Xingyuan has only seen animal spirits that speak human words in TV series before. Unexpectedly, he saw them in real life this time. His eyes widened in shock. Say, speak. Humph, what a surprise, the little fox rolled his eyes even more. That furry face, I don't know how, clearly showed an expression of contempt. Tao Xingyuan would like to say that he has traveled all over the country and is well informed, but this fox with two tails and a human tongue is unusual. He is trying to find a sense of identity in other people. Unexpectedly, each of the girls was calmer than the other. Even Zhou Ying, who had never seen the little fox before, had a straight face to show that she was a stable person. In fact, Zhou Ying was also shocked, but she had been with Pei Anzu a lot and was used to Master Pei's magical powers, so she could barely bear it. Tao Xingyuan could only sigh helplessly when he saw this. Okay, I'm a stranger. Then, Mr. Fox, do you want to help us untie the rope now? It's not the time yet. It was Pei Anzu who spoke. Wait until Master Zhao comes, figure out what they want to do, and break free at the critical moment to catch them by surprise. Everyone nodded. For the next time, everyone lay on the sofa, closed their eyes and rested, quietly waiting for the arrival of Master Zhao. It is said to be, wait for the rabbit. Zhou Zifeng came down and took a look. He was sure that the group of people were unconscious on the sofa, so he didn't pay too much attention to them. About an hour later, the doorbell rang. Zhou Zifeng came down from upstairs, quickly went outside and opened the door, and brought in a middle-aged man. This man is about 40 years old, wearing a yellow monk's robe, with long hair and beard. His hair is with a wooden hairpin, and he also holds a whisk in his hand. Overall, it looks like a fairy. Master Zhao, please. Zhou Zifeng respectfully invited people into the living room, then pointed at the people on the sofa and said, "Look, these people came to the door today." Master Zhao's eyes were first on Du Qiaoyu. He took one look and asked, "Is this the woman whose horoscope is very similar to your brother's?" "Yes, according to your instructions, I used the fake jewelry you cast to borrow her life, and she didn't have any doubts," Zhou Zifeng said, "but I don't know what happened today. She suddenly found this place and brought some people with me, and one of them saw that I was using the resurrecting technique to renew my brother's life, and that was her." After saying this, he pointed his finger at Pei Anzu. Master Zhao then looked at Pei Anzu, but what surprised him was that no matter how he looked, he couldn't see Pei Anzu's face. He stretched out his fingers to count, but he couldn't figure out Pei Anzu's fate either. Until this moment, his brows were furrowed and his face became serious. Very human indeed. "What do you mean?" Zhou Zifeng asked. "There are only two possibilities for a destiny that even I can't figure out," Master Zhao said. "Either her skill is superior to mine and I can't see through it, or her destiny is indescribably precious and she is blessed by heaven. Not allowed to count." "What kind of person is she?" Zhou Zifeng asked. "You said before that she can see the resurrection technique, which means she is also a member of Suanmen. But judging from her age, she is only in her 20s, which is still very young. Her cultivation level cannot be higher than mine. From this point of view, she must be the second kind," Master Zhao said, "an extremely precious fate. With her, your brother's resurrection will be just around the corner." The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 168. Chapter 168, Everything is covered with treasures. Zhou Zifeng doesn't know much about Suanmen, but after listening to Master Zhao's words, he had a clear smile on his face. "Then I'll bother Master Zhao with all this. When my brother wakes up, I will have another big thank you." "Don't worry." Master Zhao nodded slightly, with a proud look, as if he already had a plan in mind. "Take them all upstairs." Perhaps to deceive others, there were no servants in the entire manor, and Zhou Zifeng had to do everything himself, so he went back and forth several times and moved all the 5 people on the sofa to the room upstairs. This is a large room. There was a bed in the middle. Lying on the bed was a young man of about 14 or 15 years old. He was slender and pale, and he looked like he was asleep. But if you look closely, you will find that his chest does not rise and fall at all. In other words, he has no breathing and heartbeat, and he is already dead. It's just that the body was well preserved due to the magic performed by Master Zhao. Pei Anzu was placed on the ground. She did not open her eyes, but let go of her consciousness and looked at the situation in the room. This room is arranged very strangely. With the bed as the center, there is a resurrecting formation in operation. Surrounding the bed are some small porcelain altars the size of a palm, with tightly closed lids and covered with talismans. Pei Anzu saw that there was a steady stream of black energy coming out of those small porcelain jars and rushing toward the young man on the bed. Every time the young man absorbed a bit of black energy, his face became rosier. The conversation between Zhou Zifeng and Master Zhao came from the side. "Master Zhao, what should we do now?" Master Zhao glanced at the person lying on the ground and said, "To perform the resurrection technique for your brother, you need the vitality of 9 people who match his fate, allowing him to cultivate it in the formation for 99 and 81 days. Now, including this woman named Du, we have found 8 people. We originally thought that the 9th person would be difficult to find, but we didn't expect that someone from Suanmen came to our door. You know, people in Suanmen spy on fate and calculate the secrets of heaven. Although they are affected by 5 disadvantages and 3 deficiencies, to a certain extent, they are not in the same dimension as ordinary people. They are full of treasures. It's perfect to use her as the ninth person to sacrifice your life force for your brother. Master Zhao is right, those who are successful in Suanmen are indeed full of treasures. Their hair can be used to cast spells, their blood can be used to draw charms, their bones can be used to refine weapons. All invisible things such as their destiny, soul, merit, etc., can be used as a medium to perform Taoist magic, and can be used to suppress evil spirits. Now, it is just a matter of extracting life force to extend the life of Zhou Zifeng's younger brother. For Master Zhao, it couldn't be simpler, and he does not need to spend additional efforts to find a ninth person with a matching destiny. After Master Zhao finished explaining, he continued. Since they have delivered it to the door themselves, don't even think about leaving. Bring over the small porcelain altar I prepared before, just like before. Zhou Zifeng responded, turned, and left the room, and moved two small porcelain altars from the storage room next door, which were exactly the same as those on the ground, except that the small porcelain altar in his hand was empty. He put the small porcelain altar on the ground, dragged Du Qiaoyu to the porcelain altar, then took out a knife and gestured at her heart, apparently intending to take her heart blood. Pei Anzu knew it was time. She opened her eyes suddenly, and with a little force on her hands, the ropes that tied her were freed. Then the little fox also took action, using its sharp claws to cut through the restraints of the others. For a time, everyone except Du Qiaoyu stood up. This incident made Zhou Zifeng's face change drastically. You? Not in a coma? Of course not. If we hadn't been good at acting, how could we have let you lead this evil man who cares about human life? Pei Anzu looked at Master Zhao coldly. In the whole room, Master Zhao is the only one who is her opponent. Master Zhao has seen big scenes after all. Although he encountered changes, he remained unmoved and only said, "Little girl, you and I are both members of the Taoist sect, so don't call each one an evil Taoist or a poor Taoist. Maybe if we go up a few generations, we will still learn from the same section." When Pei Anzu heard this, the look of disgust on his face became even more obvious. "Bah, I'm from the same sect as you, don't be disgusted with me. If there was a scum like you in my sect, I would have ruined your cultivation and kicked you out 800 years ago. We are members of our generation, we are to the strong and support the weak, and slay demons and demons. You don't listen to any of these ancestral teachings. You rely on your own abilities to disregard human lives and kill innocent people. How do you have the face to call yourself a member of Taoism? Today, I will clear the door for Suanmen." Master Zhao still looked calm and relaxed. He didn't take Pei Anzu seriously and only said, "After all, you are young and energetic, shouting to fight and kill. Pandeo wanted to spare your life for the sake of being a member of Suanmen, but since you are seeking death yourself, it is no wonder that Pandeo is the one." As soon as he finished speaking, the whisk in Master Zhao's hand suddenly became full of power and attacked Pei Anzu. He used 80% of his strength for this blow. In his opinion, there was no way that Pei Anzu, a young girl, could escape his attack. Hence, from the beginning to the end, he had an expression of victory on his face, as if he had seen Pei Anzu begging for mercy in pain under his hands. Countless thoughts even flashed through his mind. After he helped Zhou Zifeng's brother complete the resurrecting technique, he would have another use for the Suanmen woman. This woman has an extremely noble destiny. If she is made into a ghost servant, she must at least be at the level of a ghost emperor. When the time comes, he will be invincible in this world, both human and ghost. But the next second, his smile froze in place. Because Pei Anzu dodged the blow, she not only dodged it, she even fought back. She took out an iron chain from somewhere and pinched it. Then the iron chain seemed to come to life, like a snake, swishing around Master Zhao's body and tying him up. Speaking of which, this iron chain was collected from the two liar Taoist priests when they were in Hanjiakan. In the hands of the liar, the iron chain needs blood to drive it, but in the hands of Pei Anzu, it only needs a little bit of spiritual power to be used for his own use. The soul-binding rope, Master Zhao blurted out when he saw the iron chain, "You are a disciple of Xu Yungan." "No, it's impossible. Xu Yungan has long since declined, and the soul-binding rope has been lost a long time ago." "Where did you get it, of?" Pei Anzu was surprised when he heard this. This Master Zhao, does he know about Xu Yungan? From this point of view, he may really have some connection with Xu Yungan. As for the iron chain, she didn't know it was called a spirit-binding rope before, and there was no record of it in the ancient books preserved in Xu Yungan. However, she learned from the two liars that the iron chain was dug out of a tomb on a mountain in Pingcheng. At that time, she guessed that it was related to Xu Yungan, but it was never confirmed. Unexpectedly, it was confirmed by Master Zhao today. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Chris Bone. Chapter 169. Pei Anzu's thoughts were racing in his mind, but he did not hesitate in the movements of his hands. After trapping Master Zhao, he took out some holding charms and pasted one on each of Master Zhao's forehead, left and right chests, navel, and left and right legs. With one set of movements, he moved smoothly and controlled Master Zhao tightly, without giving him any chance to take advantage of any loopholes. After all, people in Suanmen have many extraordinary abilities. Only by preventing him from using his abilities would Pei Anzu not be attacked or stabbed in the back. The two fought against each other, and in just a few minutes, the winner was decided. Until he was completely unable to move, Master Zhao panicked. He looked at Pei Anzu as if he was looking at a monster. "How is it possible? How could you subdue me so easily at such a young age? I understand. You must be relying on the powerful magical weapons and talismans in your hands. Tell me, where did you get your magical weapons and talismans? Who did you study under?" He refused to believe that Pei Anzu had a higher level of cultivation than him, so he made an excuse for his failure. But Pei Anzu ignored him and only said, "We should have a chat, but not now. After I break your resurrecting formation and rescue those innocent people, I will settle the score with you." After saying this, Pei Anzu asked Shen Yuran and Little Fox to keep an eye on him, while he walked towards the formation in the middle of the room. Zhou Zifeng originally had great trust in Master Zhao. He felt that with Master Zhao's presence, all difficulties would be solved, and he never thought about the possibility of failure. But now, Master Zhao is defeated at the hands of this young woman. She still wants to destroy the formation and prevent her brother from coming back to life. This is simply unforgivable. Thinking of this, Zhou Zifeng became angry and grabbed Du Qiaoyu, who was unconscious on the ground, in front of him. One arm tightly wrapped around her neck, and the other hand held a knife and pressed it against the aorta of her neck. "Do not come. If you take one more step forward, I will kill her. I know people like you don't want to see innocent people get hurt, so you do as I say, otherwise she will die." As expected, Pei Anzu stopped and looked at him intently, as if he was really threatened by him. When Zhou Zifeng saw this, he thought his threat was effective and breathed a sigh of relief. Tao Xingyun and Zhou Ying huddled silently in the corner, trying to reduce their presence and try not to hold them back. However, Tao Xingyun is still a little worried. Can Master Pei handle it? Alas, I originally thought I was just running an errand, but I didn't expect to encounter such a life and death crisis. If I had known this, I might as well have been at home, being taught by my grandpa in his dreams. Master Pei is amazing, Zhou Ying whispered. She can definitely solve it, just keep your heart in mind. What I'm most fortunate about now is that Du Qiaoyu is in a coma. If she were awake and saw these scenes, she would definitely screaming and distorting, causing chaos to Master Pei. The two people's muttering was not heard by others, because Zhou Zifeng was already directing Pei Anzu to make the next move. You go and release Master Zhao, or I will kill her. But he was smart, knowing that he couldn't deal with Pei Anzu, so he used the hostages to get Pei Anzu to release Master Zhao and give him more helpers. Do you know this trick? Pei Anzu sneered, then you should try it. Can your knife kill her? Don't provoke me. I'm not a coward who doesn't take action easily. I personally took care of the 7 people before, Zhou Zifeng continued to threaten. Oh, let it go. After Pei Anzu finished speaking, he picked up his feet and continued walking forward. Zhou Zifeng saw that the threat was ineffective, so he raised his knife and slashed towards Du Qiaoyu's neck. What he didn't expect was that his knife did not touch Du Qiaoyu. When it was still 2 inches away from her neck, it seemed to have encountered some obstacle and was bounced back by a huge force. A look of astonishment flashed across Zhou Zifeng's face. He stabbed Du Qiaoyu several more times, but never succeeded in causing any harm to Du Qiaoyu. At this moment, Pei Anzu was already in front of him. She took advantage of the moment when Zhou Zifeng became fierce and raised the knife, and rushed over. She grabbed his wrist with one hand, squeezed it hard, and took the knife away while he was in pain. Then, she turned around and kicked Zhou Zifeng 2 meters away. At the same time, she caught Du Qiaoyu, who was still unconscious and about to fall to the ground. Zhou Ying, take your cousin over, Pei Anzu said. Come on, Zhou Ying immediately ran over and dragged Du Qiaoyu towards the corner. Tao Xingyun also came to help. For Zhou Zifeng, the situation that was originally a sure victory was instantly reversed. Shen Yuan and Little Fox stared at Master Zhao. Zhou Ying and Tao Xingyun took care of Du Qiaoyu. After kicking Zhou Zifeng away, Pei Anzu had enough time to destroy the formation. After all, with her cultivation level, it only took a snap of her fingers to break the formation. She performed a formation breaking technique, stretched out the index and middle fingers of her right hand, and a burst of spiritual power poured out and hit the formation's eye. And this eye is the soul of the 15-year-old boy on the bed. He is placed in a small porcelain altar, placed together with the porcelain altars of those who have similar fates. But Pei Anzu can distinguish it at a glance. In just a few seconds, the formation was broken, the talismans on the porcelain altar lost their function at the same time, and the black energy that had been flowing continuously stopped in an instant. The boy on the bed lost his source of vitality, his face turned pale, the vitality stolen from elsewhere was rapidly draining away, and his originally plump body began to become shriveled. Zhou Zifeng's eyes turned red when he saw this. Stop! Stop it! Give my brother back! I found these people with great difficulty, why are you meddling in other people's business? Why? While saying this, Zhou Zifeng rushed toward the young man on the bed. But it's too late. The boy suffered a backlash, and his body deteriorated at an extremely fast speed, and he soon turned into what he should have become after death. Everything Zhou Zifeng had done before no longer existed. He lay beside the bed and carefully touched his brother's face, but the rotten flesh on his face made him afraid to touch it. After a moment, like crazy, he stood up and rushed towards Pei Anzu, trying to knock her down with his bare hands. Unexpectedly, he was kicked away again. This time, he was in pain all over and couldn't get up quickly. Pei Anzu took this opportunity to open all the small porcelain altars, release the living souls imprisoned inside, and used magic techniques to make all these living souls return to his body along the way they came. The formation was broken, the porcelain altar shattered, and everything settled. Pei Anzu took out his mobile phone, called Officer Du, and reported the address here. The Anomaly Investigation Bureau could take action on this matter. But before the Anomaly Investigation Bureau arrived, Pei Anzu still had something to talk to Zhou Zifeng and Master Zhao. The real daughter has become famous all over the world for fortune-telling. Author, Wang Crisp Bone. Chapter 170. The room on the second floor was considered the scene of the crime. Pei Anzu didn't plan to talk here, so everyone moved downstairs. Zhou Zifeng, who was with a rope, and Master Zhao, who was immobilized by a talisman, were thrown on the floor of the living room, in a very embarrassed state. Du Qiaoyu is still unconscious. Zhou Ying laid her down on the sofa and paid attention to her from time to time, not wanting her to cause trouble when she woke up. The rest of the people were sitting in rows on the sofa on the other side, looking down at the two people on the ground with disgust in their eyes. After all, no one likes a lunatic who cares about human life. Zhou Zifeng's eyes were still red, staring hard at Pei Anzu with almost uncontrollable hatred. "It's all because of you. We have no grievances against you, why do you want to cut off my brother's hope? He is still so young, only a teenager, and has not yet enjoyed a good life, but now he can only lie alone. Over there. What good does it do you if he dies? What does those people have to do with you? Why do you deprive my brother of the hope of living for those people?" Pei Anzu looked at him coldly and said, "Your brother's life is life, isn't the life of other people life? You just want your brother to live, but have you ever thought about whether the person he killed was unjust or not? What's more, isn't it because your family has allowed your brother to end up like this?" After hearing this, Shen Yuran couldn't help but ask, "Is there any inside story here?" Of course Pei Anzu nodded, then got a truth charm on Zhou Zifeng and asked Zhou Zifeng to tell everything by himself. At the same time, Pei Anzu asked Tao Xingyun to record the video, because what Zhou Zifeng said now will become evidence handed over to Officer Du in a while. Officer Du and the others are already on their way here. Since Pei Anzu started his 7th live broadcast, the people from their Anomaly Investigation Bureau have been on standby, ready to cooperate with Pei Anzu's actions at any time. So, before they arrive, everyone still has a certain amount of time to figure out the cause and effect of the matter. The Zhou family is not a traditional wealthy family, but a nouveau riche that has just emerged from the generation of Zhou Zifeng's parents. The parents of the Zhou family were also lucky. They spotted the real estate trend and spent all their wealth to buy some land and buildings. Later, they caught up with the demolition policy and became rich. That year, Zhou Zifeng was 9 years old. Perhaps all the luck of the Zhou family's parents was spent on this investment. In the following days, no matter what business they did, they ended up losing money. At this time, Zhou's parents met Master Zhao. Master Zhao said that people have a certain amount of luck in their lives. Except for those with excellent fortunes, ordinary people basically have gains and losses. The Zhou family's parents have already taken advantage of the demolition, so they can only hold on to their inherent property for the rest of their lives and cannot move to a higher level. But Father Zhou was unwilling to give in. He asked Master Zhao if there was any way to make people's luck better, and promised that if Master Zhao could help, he would give him a big thank you. Master Zhao, for the sake of the huge amount of money, said a way to change the situation. If you just want ordinary good luck, then some spells, talismans or formations can solve the problem. But if the Zhou family still wants to have great luck, then they need to sacrifice their money and sacrifice their lives. And this life cannot be someone else's, it must be one's own bloodline, and the child's future life's luck will be used to make up for the parents' current lack of luck. When the parents of the Zhou family heard that they were going to sacrifice their children, they were reluctant to do so. After all, they had worked hard to raise Zhou Zifeng, and he had suffered a lot with them in the past. Life is finally getting better now, but you have to send him to die. How can you bear it? After weighing the pros and cons, Zhou's parents chose to have another child as a sacrifice. They believe that the newborn child is just a tool, a medium that can bring the Zhou family to a higher level. As long as they don't raise them and get along with them, they won't have feelings for them, let alone be reluctant to let them go. Hence, Zhou Zifeng's younger brother Zhou Zijun was conceived under such circumstances. When Zhou Zifeng was 10 years old, Zhou was born. Master Zhao, in accordance with the requirements of the Zhou family's parents, prepared to arrange sacrifices to improve the fortunes of the Zhou family. But halfway through the sacrifice, Zhou's mother regretted it. She underestimated her softness towards the child. After all, it was the flesh and blood of her 10-month pregnancy and was connected to her by blood. She asked to stop the sacrifice, and then suggested other ways to improve her luck. Father Zhou loved her and agreed. Hence, Zhou Zijun survived. It's a pity because Zhou Zijun was once used as a sacrifice. Although it stopped midway, it had a great impact on him. The most obvious one was that his body collapsed. It was obviously a healthy baby when he was born, but after the sacrifice, he became a sick man. Furthermore, this disease is related to karma and destiny, and cannot be treated by ordinary hospitals. It requires rest and recuperation in a specific place to grow up safely. So, Master Zhao guided the Zhou family to build this mountain manor using Feng Shui Kanyu and 5 elements Bagua. The layout and furnishings inside were all carefully arranged. This exquisite manor has become a cage trapping Zhou Zijun. He will live here for the rest of his life and cannot get out. Frail and sick, and unable to live a normal life, Zhou Zijun's life is visibly miserable, and all of this is because of the Zhou family's greedy parents. They felt great guilt about their younger son. Especially when they learned that the sacrifice was actually successful, this guilt reached its peak. The reason was that Zhou Zifeng went to a lottery shop with his classmates on an ordinary afternoon after school, followed the trend and bought a few lottery tickets, and later found out that he had won 3 million. This is not a small amount of money. Logically speaking, after all the luck has run out, the Zhou family should not have had such a large amount of money. The parents of the Zhou family asked Master Zhao and found that although the original sacrifice was only half done, it was considered a success, but it was incomplete. The Zhou family's luck would still improve. At this time, the Zhou family's parents felt that they were too sorry for their younger son. He sacrificed his own health and freedom to create a way for the Zhou family to rise. As a result, the Zhou family's parents and even Zhou Zifeng, driven by guilt, began a bottomless attempt to make amends with Zhou Zijun. Everything he needs to eat, drink, and use is of good quality. Even the servants who take care of Zhou Zijun have to be checked again and again to make sure there are no problems before they are willing to be placed next to him with peace of mind. No matter what Zhou Zijun wants, the family will try their best to get it for him. It is this kind of bottomless indulgence that makes Zhou Zijun know that he can do whatever he wants from the day he became sensible, because he is sure that his parents and brother will follow him. Driven by this idea, Zhou Zijun began to become lawless.